Hello everyone, my name is Ribhu Kaul. I am a PhD candidate at the Department of Strategic Management, Indian Institute of Management, Raipur, India. And my topic of presentation today is Entrepreneurship Education Effectiveness and Analysis through Impact Measures. Introduction. Entrepreneurship education programs are for developing entrepreneurial attitudes and skills, which involves developing personal qualities. The objective of such programs is to achieve more and better quality of entrepreneurs, to influence entrepreneurial behavior among young minds, to promote entrepreneurial tendency. And these programs are typically offered by higher educational institutions. The entrepreneurship education literature has shown that such interventions foster entrepreneurial intentions and increase entrepreneurial activities. Also, it is expected to encourage new venture creation among the youth and eventually lead to economic growth and employment in a region. This has sparked interest of university administrators and course development developers and government servants, etc., to invest their time and energy into entrepreneurship development programs. Just as entrepreneurship education has garnered the attention of policymakers across the globe, similarly, this topic has also gained attention among scholars for evaluating the potential impacts of entrepreneurship education. And the literature does seem to suggest that there is a positive impact of entrepreneurship education on entrepreneurial intentions. From the literature, we observe that there is a major knowledge gap as to how the impact of entrepreneurship education on students finally leads to entrepreneurial behavior. And also, we have observed that recent studies are levitating more towards the intention-based models rather than actually focus on the new venture creation. From our observation of the literature, we find that most of the studies explore either the types of impact, which is mostly entrepreneurial intention, or the underpinning pedagogy. For instance, Henry and others have proposed that an impact classification system would be necessary that could assess the degree of effect of entrepreneurship education programs from beginning to end, and such a classification system does not exist. Our analysis of the literature on entrepreneurship education reveals some interesting facts. Most of the studies have focused on lower level impact indicators of personal change like attitudes, skills, and mostly on entrepreneurial intentions. Higher level indicators like new venture creations or socio-economic impact are sparingly studied. We observe that most articles have found a positive link between entrepreneurship education and entrepreneurial intentions, and only a few studies have highlighted the role of gender in entrepreneurship education and intention linkage. Also, we see that new ways of assessing entrepreneurship education impact are minimal. Further, we see that there is a knowledge gap about how entrepreneurship education relates to the development of entrepreneurial identity, and most of the literature is concentrated only on entrepreneurship intentions. Despite the recent reviews, many studies are also equivocal about the impact of such programs on attitudes and behaviors of prospective entrepreneurs. And even though authors generally have a consensus on the growing importance of emotion or affect-based variables in the entrepreneurial thinking process, only one study has actually attempted to measure an affect-based variable. As we pointed out earlier, that most of the studies focus on entrepreneurial intentions-based models. As a result, authors fail to take in account the complete idea of entrepreneurial mindset, defined as a cognitive phenomena which is much more deeper than entrepreneurial intent itself. And it would be worthwhile to look at the holistic picture and not just on one variable. Our overall observation from the literature is that many potential other variables which could have been included have been underutilized in the literature. Based on the gaps observed in the literature so far, Our objective with this study has been to search a host of other variables other than entrepreneurial intentions that can impact entrepreneurial outcomes and to check whether entrepreneurship education has any direct impact on these other variables, and also ultimately develop a unified model of entrepreneurship education to intention formation model and explore the various paths to it. One of the most important variables that we came across is entrepreneurial self-efficacy. Bandura defines self-efficacy as people's belief in their capabilities to mobilize the motivation, cognitive resources, and courses of action needed to exercise control over events in their lives. In the literature, authors have frequently looked at its relationship with entrepreneurial intentions, which is a predictor of entrepreneurial activity. But bearing a few, most have largely ignored the impact of entrepreneurship education that can have on one's self-efficacy. We believe that this is a grievous oversight since self-efficacy is a central idea in explaining various relationships like entrepreneurial passion, creativity, intention, etc. Also, it is very important for us to assess its veracity as the central tenet of this thesis rests on the ability of entrepreneurship education to impact indicators of entrepreneurial behavior like passion and motivation. Therefore, we propose that entrepreneurship education has a positive impact on self-efficacy of the participants. The next useful variable that we could identify is entrepreneurial passion. Carden and others define entrepreneurial passion as consciously accessible, intense positive feelings experienced by engagement in entrepreneurial activities associated with roles that are meaningful and salient to the self-identity of the entrepreneur. Authors have repeatedly called for the use of indicators other than intentions for assessment of entrepreneurial behavior. We find that entrepreneurial passion has been sparingly studied in the context of entrepreneurship education, even though there are ample studies that indicate that passion is useful in explaining entrepreneurial behaviors. Therefore, it remains to be seen whether entrepreneurship education can invoke entrepreneurial passion in their participants or not. And therefore, we propose that entrepreneurship education has a positive impact on the entrepreneurial passion of its participants. Further, there has been very limited work on the impact that education can have on entrepreneurship passion. For instance, Gelnick and others, 2015, assert that self-efficacy both moderates and mediates the effect of entrepreneurship training on passion, which eventually leads to venture creation. Similarly, Arshad and others 2018 also find that self-efficacy mediates the impact of entrepreneurship education on passion. Moreover, Miraglia and KD 2017 hypothesized that passion has a direct positive impact on entrepreneurial intentions, and also this relationship is positively mediated by self-efficacy. We provide a unified model of entrepreneurship education, passion, self-efficacy, and entrepreneurial intentions. So, we propose that self-efficacy positively mediates the impact of entrepreneurship education on entrepreneurial passion and that on entrepreneurial intention. Also, we propose that entrepreneurial passion positively mediates the impact that entrepreneurship education has on entrepreneurial intentions. The next useful construct we came across is opportunity recognition. We chose the definition given by Singh 2001 because it is broad and can be utilized with opportunities arising out of incremental market improvements. This definition states that entrepreneurial opportunity is a feasible, profit-seeking potential venture that provides an innovative new product or service to the market or imitates a profitable product or service in a less saturated market. Entrepreneurial opportunity recognition is yet another variable that has been under-researched and has become recommended for further exploration. For instance, Shane and Venkatraman 2001 argued that entrepreneurial opportunity recognition should be the focus of research in the field of entrepreneurship. Literature on the impact of education on entrepreneurial opportunity recognition is scant, and therefore we propose that entrepreneurship education positively impacts entrepreneurial opportunity recognition, and also we propose that entrepreneurial opportunity recognition positively mediates the impact of entrepreneurship education on entrepreneurial intention. All other variables are measured using their relevant scales as given in the next slide. The controls for the study are gender, age, educational qualifications of the participant, previous work experience and especially previous entrepreneurial experience, and lastly, family background or family business experience of the participant. Nabi and others 2017 pointed out that entrepreneurship education programs efficacy may vary by regional context, yet there is very scarce research outside North America or European context, especially in Indian context where there has been so much spur in entrepreneurial activity over the decade. For these reasons, we choose to further this research in Indian field setting. Multitude of management institutes, both public and private in India, offer postgraduate level courses in management and entrepreneurship, some of them specifically in entrepreneurship as well. We hope to get a sample of students from such institutes who are enrolled in entrepreneurship courses. Previous researchers in entrepreneurship education literature have also relied on similar samples. A sample size of 400 to 500 respondents should be appropriate for our analysis. The sampling would be judgmental because we hope to specifically capture the effect of entrepreneurship education. This would be cross-sectional data, which would be collected using a survey instrument distributed either online or in person. We hope to use structural equation modeling for model estimation. The primary implications of this research are as follows. The propagation of literature of entrepreneurship education towards a positive and inclusive direction to reduce the ambiguity and bring clarity on whether entrepreneurship education has any direct impact on a host of attitudinal variables rather than just focusing on one variable, which was entrepreneurial intention so far. Uh, the research also explores the impact measures that are under-researched. And this research contributes towards the understanding of the process of development of entrepreneurial intention in the mind of a participant. And this contributes to the theory of planned behavior. The policy implications of this study are manifold. It helps towards the assessment of the utility of entrepreneurial programs as to how useful they are in the first place, and also helps in look at identifying and validating the key deliverables of entrepreneurship education program. And finally, it helps a policymaker to make the program more effective. A few limitations of the studies would be, firstly, that the cross-sectional nature of data can be a concern, since it is desirable to have panel data with pre-test, post-test experimental design to firmly establish the claims of the study, of any study actually in this area. And secondly, a categorical generalizability of the results would not be a great idea at the present stage. And finally, the ultimate transition from entrepreneurial intention to entrepreneurial behavior is something that the study cannot hope to verify. Thank you very much for your time. Your comments are most welcome.